To say he's surprised is an understatement.
Stay away.
Whoa! Oh no! Greetings, my beautiful viewers. I am the Hunter of Comedy, and welcome back to The Letter. Oh boy, this game has been a lot, and I mean a lot more intense than I thought it was gonna be. I mean, here's the thing, I expected a horror game. I didn't expect all the drama and the, because here's the thing, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of tropes in this game, I'm not gonna deny that, but I like them. Like, I'm enjoying the character development. I'm enjoying the fact that, every character I played it, I've been like, I really like you. I don't want you to die. That's important. It's important because you should care. You should care about the characters in your story or, whatever you're writing or your games or anything. Because if you don't care, then there's no emotional attachment when anything happens to them. If they die and you don't care about them, you won't care that they died. If they find happiness, you'll be like, oh, that's nice, but you won't really care. I am so invested in almost everyone. The only person I'm not really invested in right now is Luke. Luke is just kind of a dickbag, and I think that he's probably been unfaithful. He probably knew about, whether he knew about the pregnancy or not, more than likely the child from the other woman is his. So yeah, he's just gonna sweep that under the rug because that's what rich people do. It's horrible. But right now we're playing as Zach, and I love Zach. He is amazing. So I remember that we had a choice to make. I just don't remember what the choice was. Oh, right. Okay. My relationships are good. The journal was updated. We had food. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Ashton's warnings, after Ashton's warnings, they all hold a different meaning now. Right. Oh, right, we didn't have a choice to make, it was nighttime. Okay. The next 2 days rushed by in a blur, altogether leaving a collective mess of work suddenly piling up and new unexpected acquaintances, or friends? It's really hard for me to talk with him humming in the background, but we'll see how long that lasts. Depends on how you look at it, really. Either way, I'm stuck developing these photos at 3 in the morning to reach a deadline set by an overeager art director. Don't get me wrong, Julius is good. He has vision and knows what he wants, but damn, he can be too enthusiastic sometimes.
Doesn't matter when you couldn't sleep anyway.
Oh, there is nothing new in it, of course. After years of working as a freelance photographer, it's simply something I have grown used to. Get to know people, build a client base, do good work, and cash in some late hours if need be. Rinse and repeat. It certainly takes a while to get some footing on the field, but it's the kind of thing that pays off in the long run as long as you can keep at it. Given enough time, you might end up with big names on your client list. Names like the Wrights in particular. I never did pay much attention to them, but it's virtually impossible not to hear about them when a local news channel or paper has something to say on their name. A party here, an acquisition there. Sometimes it's a new business venture. Other times it's the everyday gossip that typically follows popular people like them. Not in a million years did I ever imagine I would end up working for such a high-profile couple. And between that and the fuss that comes with it, it leaves me no time to ponder over whatever happened to Isabel or why Ash is so adamant we keep away from the pair.
They do seem like the good folk, though, despite the whole fame thing.
Oh, I like that, here's the thing. whoever directed this game, whoever was like the voice director who gave these actors notes and everything on what they wanted, knew what they wanted for each scene, and that's why it works so well. Because Zach sounds like it's 3 in the morning and he's really fucking tired, but he's working through it. He sounds like that. It's not just like him saying like the lines regularly. It's really like that small bit of detail that honestly you sometimes don't even find in professional work. Sometimes even in professional work they don't really like showcase it too much. They do sometimes, but most of the time it's about getting a good line read and not about what's the best for the scene. That's sometimes what's really good about indie games, is that they can take more time because they're not on a deadline or anything. They can just work until it's done. But enough about my nerd ramblings. Sure, there was a rumor running around about years ago about him being involved with some business scandal. But just like every gossip blown out of proportion by the media, nothing came of it, and eventually it simply died down. Much is definitely left to be said for the husband, but I doubt a woman like Miss Wright would pick him if he doesn't have any good points at all. Miss Wright. Hannah herself, though. I'm sorry, like, my brain is just like, you're keeping are you keeping a picture of her, Zach? Not the best idea, buddy. Definitely not the best idea. She ain't particularly bad the way the press makes her out to be. The tabloids had it all wrong, that's for sure. For someone born with a silver spoon in her mouth, well, she ain't exactly what I was expecting. Among other things, the newfound friendship is what I least expected from her, but here we are. Although with a life as public as the Wrights, no wonder it's the woman who gets the crappy end of the stick. I can't help but feel sorry for her. She's real nice. She's real nice person when she should be. She's a real nice person when given the chance. Heck, she might have ended up friends with Rebecca and Isabella too, if they weren't living worlds apart. Probably. The beep quickly pulls me back from my thoughts before my thoughts travel any further. In one practice motion, I carefully place the wet print I'm holding on a drying rack and amble over my makeshift darkroom to get the last photos from the water basin. Inside the coveted broom closet, the film processor lets out another soft clack before going on its standby mode. At its mouth, a lone photograph sits on the tray, barely visible with the lack of light. It's the last one tonight for the set Mrs. Wright requested. I don't usually make this habit, giving away stuff that is. It's bad for business, no matter how well-intentioned or generous you are. This exception, however, she did treat me well and was a pleasant companion all throughout the shoot. Even if she didn't ask, I probably would have given her a few prints just for the hell of it. Miss Wright ain't such a bad subject matter to begin with. Maybe this is just me, but for someone who has everything at the palm of her hand, all the money in the world, a loving husband, and plenty big mansion to call home, she's lonely. She doesn't just appear like it. It shows in her tone, how she moves, and most certainly in her smiles. Always hidden behind the glamour for the world to never see. Sometimes for people like her, small things like these help a little reminder that the world can be kind too. Water drips from the paper as I blindly pick it up, gently lay it on another tray, holding a decent amount of photofilo. A few seconds under the solution is all it needs before it's ready for drying. No good rushing this one, even if my body's already screaming for some decent snooze. My hand fumbles for the light switch, moving toward it with familiarity, while I fish for a squeegee among the mess of tools on a drawer with the other. The bulb flickers twice before its glow settles and casts a soft light in the tiny space. When I glanced back, squeegee in hand, ready to finish the process and finally call it a night.
What on earth?
Her head is gone. Oh, that was the picture with her and the lady. Like, oh my god, you can actually see it. You can see like the head of the lady, the body, like where the hands were. Oh my god, it's there. Blurred and distorted beyond recognition, rather. The area completely smudged over, leaving no trace of the same sweet smile that good woman carried in all the previous prints.
Damn, that was too careless.
A common mistake to make, of course, if one is negligent enough to pick a newly processed photo in the dark, like I apparently did. It has happened before, loads of times actually. I still can't help but feel a small pang of frustration over one mistake a newbie would likely make. With a sigh, I reach up for the switch again, intending to develop a new one from scratch.
It could pass off for one of those supernatural pictures they show on TV, though.
A memory clicks, one cursory thought in the sea of many, and a short yet distinct second from the day before. A glimpse is all I got, but it's enough to burn the image in my mind. There was a shadow. No. No. A woman. In her 20s or 30s, maybe? With how far gone her flesh alone had become, it's not possible to tell at first glance. The skin itself has already taken a sickly pale color, rotten in most parts, blood dripping from every open gash and lesion on her body. Bony hands grip Miss Wright's neck like a noose, straining the skin underneath with a vibrant shade of scarlet. Nothing but malice fills the gleam in her eyes.
Zachary?
Not for me, but for Mrs. Wright.
Zach, is something the matter?
Oh, no, there's nothing wrong. I just remembered something, that's all. Let's get back to the pictures. Can you move a bit more to the left, yeah?
The memory alone is enough to make me retch. Oh god, he remembers it. Some of Hannah's shots from the photo shoot that day before came out distorted after Zachary developed them. He would have almost dismissed it as human error if he hadn't remembered a chilling memory from yesterday's shoot. I brushed it off then. A trick of the eye, I told myself, or a product of the heat. The weather has been unexpectedly warm recently, so it shouldn't be too surprising for such things to happen. And, well, blaming this on the usual fatigue, an overworked brain, the weather, or an amateur error on my part is far more convenient. It makes a whole lot of sense than what the small voice inside my head whispers. The same tiny voice that only makes itself known when something's afoul. The same one that lent a curious ear to Isabella's worries about the mansion. And with each second I spend staring at the photograph, the murmurs in my head only grow louder against my ears. Someone has to know. You know what? I kind of want to show it to Hannah because now that she's had that ghost experience, she would know, and Ash would brush us off as superstitious. I'm going with Hannah. Oh, it didn't change anything. I thought it was going to change my relationship. I don't have an explanation for what I saw yesterday. Yet. But when you've been there, seen something enough to raise the hairs on the back of your neck, or leave you wanting to flee or hide, finding a more solid proof than a person's smudged off face on a photo is the least of my concerns. Asher will undoubtedly give me flack for saying that, or even considering Isabella's words and those silly tales about the place. The guy's a skeptic through and through. It'll take more than my account for him to even give this a single thought. However, more than his opinion, it's Miss Wright I'm concerned about. Surely she must have felt something if those shows on TV are to be believed. A touch of coldness in her neck, or maybe the feeling of being watched? That's what often happens, ain't it? Outside, the sun is yet to rise. Still got a few hours before dawn. Got enough time to mull over how I'll go about warning her. Plenty of space to check if I'll get the same result if I redo the process again. The film processor hums back to life at my touch. The light switch gives a soft click and darkness embraces the small closet again.
Somehow those urban legends don't sound so silly now.
In hindsight, this is a dumb idea. What day... The 29th is the day the bad things happen. And I believe we're now on the 28th. Like the day of the party. Oh my god. In hindsight, this is a dumb idea. That is to say, rushing to a client I barely know's home first thing in the morning, with news of a ghostly lady potentially haunting their newly bought property. Oh, and there's a bunch of bizarre-looking pictures of Miss Hana I've brought as proof, too. So yeah, dumbest idea in the history of my dumb ideas, all things considered. Traveling to the outskirts of Anselm village at the crack of dawn with only my bike as company, equally so. Personally, I don't think any of them would take whatever I'm going to say well, no matter how nice or accommodating they are. Ashton himself would tell me the same thing. Odds are, he'll laugh at it in my face for good measure, if he doesn't freak out at me first for not listening to his warnings. Still, there's a whole separate can of worms I'll open at a different time. Seeing as I'm already standing at the Wright's front porch waiting for someone to answer the door. More than anything, Miss Wright needs to know there's possibly nothing safe in this place. Warning from friends be damned.
If only someone would answer the door sooner. Come on.
I try to ignore the looming presence on their large ornate doors. Their large ornate doors give off as I press the doorbell for the 4th time. Its shrill ringing merely echoes, carried off by another warm passing breeze. The first time I came to this place, I found myself basking in the silence it offers. Now the atmosphere is just heavy, packed with trepidation and tension. Isabel is right. It does radiate the creepy kind of vibe. And with the image of the day before constantly flashing in my mind, the unease becomes harder to ignore as each second drifts by. Not wanting to spend more time here than necessary, I ring the bell again. Another long second ticks by without anyone answering the door. If this fails, I can always go to Ash. Not really the most sensible course of action either, but waiting here ain't doing me any good. For all I know, the Wrights could be out of town. As luck would have it, just as I'm about to turn on my heel, a loud thump rises from the other side. It's followed by heavy footfalls and a string of very colorful expletives about one's parentage.
Didn't we have that bloody annoying doorbell replaced yesterday? That Irish star just cost me a fortune and she can't even fix this nuisance.
Oh, joy, it's Luke.
And where the hell is... Your hands, if another po-faced prat is pressing their blighted bell, I swear I'll cut their...
The door swings open and a very irate Mr. Wright greets me. His partly rumpled appearance is a clear testament to how early the hour is.
And who might you be? I don't recall asking the movers to show up this early.
I was prepared to face Mr. Wright, their butler more so. Mr. Wright, I didn't quite know what to make of him yet. I only caught sight of him yesterday as he was directing the movers. Although, from how exasperated he sounded then, it seems more like yelling was done more than actually giving of directions. Needless to say, I'd like to believe these instances aren't all there to... Needless to say, I'd like to believe those instances aren't all there is to the guy. I'd like to believe those instances aren't all there is to the guy. Miss Wright, at the end of the day, did marry him. Standing before him now, though, is a different story altogether. Despite the difference in our respective heights, he manages to make it appear like he is the one looking down on me and not the other way around. An apology instinctively forms in my mouth before anything else when he arches an eyebrow at my lack of response.
Well, that's not exactly why I'm here, Mr. Wright. Yeah?
Right, of course, the one and only. And what can I do for you this fine morning? Have I seen you somewhere before? Bloody peasants all look the same to me.
Yeah, I'm actually...
It doesn't matter. I don't care. I've got someplace important to be at today. Just spit out what you want or be gone. I haven't got all day.
His eyes are sharp and expecting in spite of his indifferent tone. The very impression of someone whose sharp wits has served him well throughout the years, throughout life. The kind you have to carefully choose your words around. Disconcerting how a simple conversation can easily seem like a ruthless form of social maneuvering. I can see why Mrs. Wright would want to steer clear of it, if only for a short while. I think that would be bad. I'm just gonna say I'm the photographer. And sometimes the only way out of the game is to be honest.
I'm with luxury living, sir.
He eyes the business card I hand him with a completely passive expression. He turns it between his fingers without really reading the letters printed before handing it back in the same blasé manner one usually reserves for people below their station. Or a nuisance. With him, it seems more of the latter than the former.
Mr. Steele.
Just Zach would do, sir.
I can see why. You should hear what they say about my name. Although I'm of the opinion those don't sound as unpleasant as yours to the ear. Amusing what people can come up with in their leisure time, no? Well then, to what reason do we owe this second visit, Zach?
Right. Like I said earlier, I'm the photographer from Luxury Living. I'm here about the photo shoot yesterday and...
His eyes narrow at that, mouth tightening into a small frown, passive stance dissolving into a rigid one. It ain't a complete lie, what I came here for. It ain't the whole truth either.
Didn't you already wrap that one up? I believe my wife was the one with you then. Even mentioned a little tete-a-tete with the photographer. That was you, wasn't it?
Yes. Actually, sir, there was something I forgot to discuss with you.
And you had to show up at such an hour for something you forgot. Why wasn't there any notice about this little visit?
It was an error on my part, sir. I do apologize for not letting you know in advance.
Terribly unprofessional for someone going under the name of an esteemed publication like Luxury Living, if you ask me.
Oh, fuck you! You're an asshole!
Of course, even if there was a word of some sort, that butler does not check my emails as often as I would have liked. But straight up walking in here this early isn't the most sensible thing to do either.
The matter was a bit urgent, and my art director wanted it done as soon as possible before I hand him the finished prints.
Not my problem now, is it? A common courtesy would be to wait for replies before barging in. You do well to remember that. I once fired someone before they could even submit an application. Sent an email in the morning and suddenly sauntered in the office looking knackered mere hours after. Bloody walk-ins. That aside, unfortunately you're going to have to come back some other day. You see, darling wife left not a moment ago. I have not an inkling where she went or when she'll be back. So you're better off.
Love is at the movers.
Ha ha! He stops speaking altogether, and the complacent expression he has collapses on itself. Why are you such a dick, Luke? You're not helping! Slowly he turns just as his wife walks up to him with a step too lively for comfort, a smile too sweet to be honest. She's very likely heard everything her husband and I have talked about.
Going off somewhere.
I've got the few things I want them to transfer already. Marianne made this splendid arrangement for the music room and... Love, are you listening?
I thought you already left, Buttercup.
She musters a frown, a pout more like. The mischievous gleam in her eyes when she glances at me says all I need to know. I would have laughed at her antics if it wouldn't have offended the other man. But as it is, it's better to let his wife have fun without any reaction from me. I'm treading on dangerous grounds with him already.
Well, I most certainly have not left yet. I wouldn't be standing here if I did, would I?
Of course you wouldn't be, darling. But don't you need to be somewhere else today? Something with Marianne, shopping, girl, things?
God damn it! I get that he's jealous because, you know, big handsome Zach is like here like, I'm here to like save your wife from evil spirits. And he's like, if you're gonna try and save my wife from evil spirits, I'm just gonna let her die. I don't know if he would actually say that, but at the same time, he's just an asshole.
Oh, I'll be leaving in a few. Unless you want to join us.
Oh, no, thanks, darling. I'm afraid my liver is killing me today.
I thought as much. You needn't have to worry. I'll be gone in a few. It's just that I heard we have a visitor. What kind of person would I be if I didn't greet him before leaving?
A very gracious one, I'm sure.
Zachary, right? Zach, it's a pleasure to see you again.
Likewise, ma'am. I was actually looking for you.
Is that so? What for?
A huge display of unprofessionalism is what it's for.
Shush, darling. Let the man speak. I'm sure it isn't anything like that if he has to come all the way here, yes?
It's about yesterday. The photos you asked, I mean. The copies are ready, but...
My hands are... Oh, my hand still says I'm about to fish the prints out of my pocket. A short second passes, that which strikes me... There's a lot of weird, phrasing and sentencing in this game, and it's throwing me off. A short second passes, that which strikes me how I didn't think this through at all. How I'll go about telling her regarding the strange photos or revealing this to her in the presence of another person. Her husband gazing over us like a hawk doesn't provide any sort of comfort either. And just like that, all the words I've been practicing to say on the way here inevitably falls stiffly off my mouth. Mrs. Wright must have noticed my hesitance, because shortly she gives her husband's arm a light squeeze and a tender smile gracing her face. Unlike the first, this one's meant to appease.
Love, I think Hansi might need some of your input for the final guest list. Could you check on him, please?
Bollocks! Why in all Luxborn do I have to be there? Doing tedious jobs are what he's being paid for.
Because if we end up with people whose faces you do not want to show up in our housewarming party, we won't be hearing the end of it, unless a heavy dose of liquor's involved. You know what the doctor said about that. Please do poor Hansi and your liver a favor,
He can handle that on his own, Buttercup, and my liver is doing just fine.
I'm sure it is. But I don't know, love. I think I caught a glimpse of the name Mitch Lakes, was it? I think it was Mitch Lakes on it when I checked with Hansi earlier. You should see for yourself. It was quite a list.
Who put that blighted twat in there?
And that's why I'm asking you to look over it before I do so tonight.
Very well.
But even with that promise, he doesn't appear ready to leave. Short of passing through the doors, he stops and glances back at me, all without bothering to hide the distrust in his eyes.
Luke, dear, I'll be fine. Go back to your butler. I'm not some pregnant wife you have to worry about.
Ah! You will be in 2 days.
Fine. I have to go to that little ankle biter's career day later anyway. I don't see why I have to go there. Kylie's your goddaughter.
And yet she has you around her little fingers, darling. That's basically the same thing.
Even if he has an answer to that, we don't get to hear it above the heavy thud the door makes, and Mrs. Wright's own weary exhale after she's sure her husband is out of earshot. She's nothing but apologetic when she fixes her gaze back to me, and I can't help but return the same to her.
I am so sorry you had to deal with that. My husband can be a bit trying when he really applied himself.
It's fine, Miss Wright. No harm done. It was my fault for showing up here unannounced. And this might be strange coming from me, but he does have the right to be wary. The press can be quite vicious when it wants to be.
Caught unexpectedly, they pick you apart. It's not surprising why he acted the way he did around me.
Sweetie, if Luke treats every journalist who shows up here like that, I'm afraid we'll end up with a harassment lawsuit hanging over our heads sometime in the future. Vicious or not, some sort of finesse has to be exercised when dealing with them. I'm sorry, I hope that wasn't too offensive.
Not at all, Miss Wright. Besides, I don't think an interior design magazine would be interested in who harassed who this week. Unless it has something to do with fighting over tastefully arranged furniture. But even then, I don't think our readers will be too interested.
Oh, dearie. You've got a lot to learn. You really have no idea how a single tattle can ignite a spark in a crowd. Of course, at the end of the day, it's still the thought that counts. It's still a lovely anniversary gift from my husband. No matter. Let's just go.
She doesn't wait for an answer and immediately wanders over a car parked some distance from us. Unsure, I find myself trailing after her. The chauffeur automatically opens the passenger side door as she nears, and she gestures for me to follow and then climbs into the back seat.
To where are we going exactly?
I need to get out of this stuffy house for a while. Moving in, planning the party. It's starting to get suffocating in there. Luke and Hansi can have their fun while I'm gone.
Oh.
I don't care. I'm getting out because I can. Another minute in there and I'll drown.
My bike.
There are, of course, a lot of things questionable about her invitation. Why she's asking a person she's only known for less than 2 days in the first place is one. How appropriate that is being another. But the rest of it crashes the moment she shoots me an imploring look.
Please? I can have someone send it back to your address later. And it's just a trip to the city for some furniture, nothing more, I assure you. Marianne will be with us, and maybe you can tell me why you're here on the way.
Guess it wouldn't hurt. I might have to leave early, though.
Excellent, then. Hop in. That's what they often say, yes?
This can't be a good idea, but I really don't have any other choice, do I? Especially with the way her eyes light up when I agree to it. In my pocket, the very picture of her remains faceless. A voiceless shadow hanging threateningly between us, unknown to her. Getting kind of far, aren't we? So the timeline got updated. Disturbed, Zachary decided to show the photographs to Hannah herself. He was greeted by a wary Luke Wright upon arriving at the mansion. Just in time, Hannah appeared to save Zachary from further interrogation. At her request, Zachary accompanied her to Luxburn City. If someone told me I'd be spending my entire morning being dragged around half of downtown Luxburn looking for furniture, I probably would have simply smiled at them. Then perhaps even given them a good friendly pat on the shoulder and wished them a nice day. Not that I find anything wrong with this at all. On the contrary, this is most definitely a nice change of pace after weeks of getting bogged down by several freelance gigs and shutting myself inside my apartment whenever I can. If only the weather would be a whole lot nicer. The one with less sun and more clouds, perhaps? Weird how everyone's like, better weather is rain. In this world, like, everyone's... Oh, it's bright and it's sunny, isn't it dreadful? Where did the clouds go? Bring the clouds back. With the mid-morning sun slowly beating down on us as high noon approaches, I can see why Mr. Wright skipped out on this trip. The bright side is, the whole thing seems to put Mrs. Wright in a less somber mood. After the fifth store, her pace is considerably livelier, her gestures less guarded than the one she displayed at the mansion earlier. The presence of another person might have helped as well. Although Miss McCulloch seems less predisposed to small talk, preferring to keep to herself most of the time and let Miss Wright lead us wherever. She did acknowledge me with a small nod when we were introduced earlier. But that didn't make standing outside the store together any less awkward while we wait for our client to finish her inquiry inside.
So, interior design, huh?
She cast me a sidelong glance before returning to her notes again, her pen scratching faintly against the paper in quick successive strokes. There goes that. I did say I'm not any good at starting or keeping conversations going, didn't I? She doesn't look back up again. I take that as my cue to stop any attempt of striking up dialogue with her, and keep myself occupied with some other thing. Except, what we have here is Luxburn City and its busy streets, people going about their day like normal, cars moving in and out of sight, heading to who knows where. Nothing remarkable, really. The ease with which a person can fade into the background here is reflexive of the kind of city Luxburn will always be, but the humdrum's one thing I learned to live with. Needless to say, it doesn't usually stay that way. There are times when it would come alive. There are times when it would come alive, make itself known, and reassert itself back to the world. However, those moments are few and far between. Then again, with what graces the news channel lately, I'm starting to think it's going to happen sooner. Can't say I'm looking forward to what it'll bring.
Luxury living, is it?
Her voice effectively cuts through my thoughts just as I count the 13th passerby wearing a hat today. Beside me, I can hear the faint rustling of paper and the clicking of her pen as she stashes them back in her bag.
Excuse me, what?
The magazine you're working for. It's luxury living, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. You've been featured by them before, I take it?
A few years back, yes. For just some issues. My designs still appear from time to time, though not as frequent as before. Gotta have room for new talents, right?
It may not show on her face, but the pride is evident in her voice.
Good folks, the people running the publication. Tell me, is DK still on the editorial team?
I wouldn't know. I've only started taking jobs from them this year. Freelancer, you know.
Good man, that guy. Anyone in our field should meet him. He had a lot of things to say about art, all of them relevant. Learned a lot from him, actually, even if we both came from two different fields. I hope he's in a good place. I haven't talked to him in a while. Anyway, your portfolio must have been good if they gave you the job. They don't easily assign big features to freelancers like this.
I wouldn't say I am, but experienced, you know? The more you practice it, the more you learn the tricks of the trade. That kind of stuff.
I know what you mean. Still, you've got to keep up with the competition. Each year, a new talent emerges, and, well, you never know. Clients can be a bit fickle-minded with their choices. Believe me.
Oh god, yes.
Speaking of, do you think you'd be up for a new client after this?
Think so? Depends on how big the project is.
She reaches into her bag again. Marianne McCulloch. This time to pull out a business card, which she hands over to me.
When you're free, send your portfolio to Chris. He's my assistant. He's been looking for a decent photographer to help with updating the studio's portfolio. Nothing urgent, but the sooner the better.
Not sure if I'll have the time to squeeze this in. But, alright, I'll give it a go once.
Marianne, could you look this over for me?
At that very moment, Mrs. Wright emerges from the store. I know it says Miss Wright, but it should be Mrs. Wright, because she's married. I don't know, maybe it's just him, maybe he would just say Miss Wright. I don't know. I keep saying Mrs. Wright because my brain auto-corrects to that. When I look back to Miss McCulloch, a mask of professionalism has returned to her. Or at least that's what it is trying to be. It's a different light in her eyes as she faces her, a flicker of familiarity and recognition. I'd say it's fondness, but that would be too presumptuous. Whatever it is doesn't last and is briskly swept under the firm tone her voice assumes.
Definitely. Is there a problem?
They said they don't have the colors you suggested. Do you think we can change it around for a bit? It might take a while if we insist what we want, and you know I'd rather not worry about this later.
I think it'd be better if I handle this one myself. Excuse me.
She walks into the shop without another word, leaving the two of us standing outside. As soon as she's out of earshot, however, Miss Wright lets out a giggle and swipes the business card cleanly off my hand. She smiles, a bemused little thing spreading across her face, and waves the card in front of me. We should do that more often. The smiling thing! Suits her more than the other ones she frequently shows to the media.
I look away, and the next thing I know, you're picking up women. On the streets, while the sun is high, no less. I'm not sure if I should be appalled or amazed.
Ah!
Whatever happened to the Zach I met a day ago? About as tall as you. Photographer. Quite the gentleman. To tell you the truth, I'm a bit disappointed he's gone.
It ain't like that, Miss Wright. And I'm sure Miss McCullough's not the kind of woman to let herself be picked up by strangers, let alone people she barely knows.
Oh, shush. Let me have my fun. And didn't I say you can call me Hannah?
She gives the card back to me, nevertheless, and with it her mood fades into a more pensive one. An odd look settles on her face, yearning, a bit wistful, as she looks back towards the shop's display window. There's nothing remotely interesting in it for me when I follow her line of sight, though. A few trinkets here and there, a fur rug, a sofa, a wooden side table, and a lamp, all tastefully picked and arranged to resemble a typical antique living room. On second thought, it does look comfortable. But why they added a crib beside it baffles me. Unless, of course, the people they're hoping to market these to are those who already have children, or about to have one, then maybe it is fitting. Peculiar choice of decorations aside, it does make for a nice icebreaker, if it's not the same level of weird and completely out of the blue. And it's still leagues better than the awkward silence, which is definitely too out of character for a personality like Miss Hana's. How do I start the conversation? I don't know if that would be good. I don't know. Do you think a crib would make a good gift? Why would he say that? That does not seem like a good choice. We're just gonna save. I forgot to save it for my last decision. Damn it. Oh well.
Ooh, I think that one looks cute.
Ah, yeah! I'm doing good. Everyone loves Zach. Everyone loves Zach. Even Luke will love Zach by the end. Look at Zach. Look at Zach. Zach is the man. Hana balks, to my surprise, shuffling 2 steps away from the window and glares at it with such vehemence, as if it did something remotely scandalous. A funny sight when taken out of context, and I will probably be laughing, really. And I probably will be laughing, really, if I understand what warranted such a reaction from her.
I wasn't looking at the crib.
I wasn't really talking about the crib, Hana.
Very good then. But it wasn't the crib, all right.
Alright, I get you. But that's not it. Honest. I was just saying the stuff that was on display there looks nice. Or at least as nice as it can be compared to the ones we visited earlier. But I'm sure your interior designer has something different in mind for your mansion, so don't mind me.
I was hoping that would be enough to cut the topic short. Instead, she sighs, leans against the wall closest to her, and runs her hand through a lock of hair. There's a far-flung look in her eyes, even as she fixes it on the concrete curb.
You need to stop looking at people like that, sweetie.
I'm afraid I don't quite catch your drift, ma'am.
I suppose you wouldn't be aware of it. Do you know you always carry this kind of phase? Like you're always staring at the world with this honest look. Like all there is to see is all the good in it.
That's because he's a good person! I love Zach! And I'm liking Hana more. I'm liking Miss McCullough. I'm liking Becky, Rebecca. I like Isabella. Everyone's not dead yet. God, I don't know when the bad things are truly gonna happen. I'm actually wondering, is Luke like the final chapter, or is there gonna be more after we get through every character? I just don't know.
Frankly, I don't see anything wrong if it's like that. I mean, there always has to be something in it. You know, a sprinkle of kindness here and there. Otherwise, we'd all be miserable.
For you, maybe. Some people have to fight through it just to see that. And kindness isn't always a great thing to have around. Sometimes too much of it can hurt.
Makes you wonder where this is coming from. How bad things have really gone for her to have this view. I do understand her sentiment. Really, I do. Still, when it's the last thing you can cling to when things have gone irreversibly bad, sometimes you simply don't get to make a choice.
Besides, the point is, it's impossible to lie when a person is looking at you like that. Or I could, but I'd feel like a horrible person afterwards. Did you hear that, Mr. Zach? You just made me feel like a horrible person. I sort of wish I had one like it. Just so people would stop lying to my face.
Or you can start by being honest with yourself. It shouldn't be quite hard. Friends don't lie to each other, don't they?
I guess so.
So what was the lie?
She draws in a breath and lays a smooth hand to her stomach and...
That it was really the crib I was looking at earlier, silly. You're right, Uncle Zach. It's cute, but the pattern's not to my taste. I'm pretty sure Marianne could do something about that, though. At the moment, what I should really be worried about is if I'm ever going to be a good mother to this child. Mad! I can't even tell the father he's going to be one in a few months' time. Probably doesn't even want anything to do with this whole pregnancy thing. What am I going to do, Zach? Because right now, I'm absolutely at a loss.
Oh, just a sec! Oh no. That is the face of someone who just realized I stepped in something I didn't wanna. Oh, fuck. A beat.
Oh!
Oh! Oh! The realization strikes you like a ton of bricks suddenly bearing down on me. More than astonishment must have shown on my face because Hana lets out a chuckle. The slump of her shoulders disappears altogether underneath her mirth.
Don't look so surprised, dearie. Tied the knot 7 years ago, remember? Don't you think it's bound to happen?
She brandishes her ring in front of me, her hand in front of me, the unassuming silver band on her finger glinting against the late morning sunlight for a second. She eyes it lovingly, almost tenderly, despite the trace of sadness in her voice. For all I know, there's an entire story there. I'd ask, but that would be too inappropriate even for friends. It's not my place to meddle to begin with.
Or at least that's what they've been saying early on. My whole social circle would be saying it's a long time coming.
But the kid is something you want, right? Because if it ain't, then that's a whole other problem.
Of course. I wouldn't deny I've been hoping to have him or her for a long time now. But then, now that we're here, all of a sudden, there are a whole lot of other things to be worried about. Business, a new home, public image, my own husband, and I don't know. I didn't really have anyone for a role model. I practically grew up with nursemaids pampering me every step of the way. What if it happens to this baby as well?
I think if the baby turns out like you, then that would be a great baby, because while you're definitely not like the best person in the world, Hana is a really nice person. She acknowledges the fact that she grew up with a silver spoon, but also acknowledges that hard work is something you have to put in if you truly want to be happy. So, yeah, she works hard, she has a lot of money, she can have whatever she wants, but she has problems too. And she acknowledges that while her problems are nowhere near as bad as others, she still needs to face them and not run away from them. So, yeah, if the baby turns out like her, fucking fantastic. If the baby turns out like Luke, have Luke raise him.
Oh, I can already see how this will end.
I don't think you can.
Huh. I guess it's not just my sister.
What?
You and my sister. I mean, you're both having jitters or something like that. That's what it's called, right? First baby jitters? Mind you, she was really convinced she'd do everything wrong then. He even called me in the middle of the night. Has to switch places the day she found out she's carrying a new member of the family. Never mind how utterly impossible her request is.
I'm quite sure I haven't done anything of that sort yet.
Oh, you don't know that? My brother-in-law has been telling me things 5 weeks into my sister's pregnancy. Said she's one cranky pregnant lady. Man, good thing I found a place for myself years before that bundle of joy arrived, huh?
It can't be that awful.
Who knows? I think we'd better leave it for Mr. Right to decide, yeah?
Provided he comes around. He just sounds so repulsed every time the idea is brought up.
Then maybe you should say it to his face. No mincing of words or beating around the bushes.
And if he says no?
You haven't even told him yet. Besides, that's his kid. Don't people usually say fatherhood changes men? I wouldn't call myself a living testament, of course. But there ought to be something that will hit him in that idea alone.
A wrecking ball would be nice.
Laughter escapes me before I can stop it. And for a moment, I thought I had done something wrong when she doesn't join in. He's still her husband, no matter what jests or complaints she hurls about him behind the media's eyes or in the presence of people she trusts. But she does. Her chuckle, a small hesitant sound at first, find the rest of my unease slipping away.
Well, whatever it is, my point is, you've got no idea what will happen. In the same way, you don't know if you'll be a good mom. Trust me. My sister's been there. It's perfectly normal. If, my opinion matters, though.
A long second of indecision goes by. I can feel her eyes filled with nothing but curiosity, boring into me while she waits for the rest. It's just a simple sentiment, but one thing I think she needs to hear for all the doubts she unwittingly places on herself. Just not sure if it should come from me. I'll be damned.
I think you'll be a great mother, Hana.
If she has an answer to that, I don't get to hear it, nor does she get to say it. As soon as it's out of my mouth, the bell hanging over the antique store's door chime rings, and out comes Miss McCulloch. For more than one reason, I have never been so relieved our talk got interrupted.
Everything's been taken care of for tomorrow, Mrs. Wright. We'll have everything you requested delivered early. I've left them instructions, but I may have to visit again right before your housewarming party to check for a few things. I hope that's acceptable to you.
More than Marianne. This is a little early to say, but you did marvelous work with the mansion. I can't wait to see all of it come together tomorrow.
I'm only doing my job, ma'am. Needless to say, it's always a pleasure to hear a client is satisfied with my work.
Nonsense! You have every reason to be proud. I know you've already established your name here, but I'll still make sure word gets out, of course. I think I've got a few friends who might be interested in decorating their homes. I'll see if I can introduce you to them tomorrow.
I really don't want to impose, Mrs. Wright. There's still a lot to be done, and I'd rather be keeping an eye on it myself.
You know well enough I'll still do it. You too, Monsieur le Photographe. You better be the one taking the pictures for the event tomorrow, or I'll be very upset.
I blink at her, confused. Last I checked, I have nothing scheduled on my plate tomorrow. A couple of fleeting thoughts did cross my mind, like working on personal projects. But with the expectant expression on Hannah's face alone, I've wondered before how they got Isabella to sell them the mansion, with all the paperwork and loops it has to go through. Well, now the how is already standing in front of me, and it's one giant ball of persuasion in human form. If I have any doubts how she got around life, all of them have been dispelled right this instant. Hannah hasn't said anything yet, but I already know what my answer will be.
What event?
Our housewarming party, dearie. I've already sent invites through your publisher. They should have informed you of it by now.
I may have probably missed it. I haven't gotten the chance to check my mailbox yet. Deadlines, real-life happenings, they can be pretty hectic. I'll try later, but they might have already assigned it to a different photographer if they haven't received my reply yet.
That's not a problem. Nothing a little call from me can't fix. I'll have them know I'm specifically requesting for your presence. It shouldn't be too hard.
I fucking love Hannah, she's great!
Just promise me you'll show up. I expect to see you both there. No excuses.
Good company, good music, good food. Of course I'll be there.
Lovely. I hope we have that settled then. I'd love to stay and chat, but unfortunately I have an appointment scheduled with the doctors after this. You two will have to excuse me.
Are you feeling fine, ma'am?
It's nothing big.
There's a short while in which her hand faintly touches her stomach as she says this. Her smile as she does so, a tender thing in itself. She might never let it cross her mind, but motherhood would suit her. The kid is already loved, even when she or he has yet to have a sense of the world. Candid moments like this, I wish I'd brought a camera.
Sorry we had to cut this short. I'd love to have lunch with you two, but, well, you two know how it goes.
It's quite fine, Mrs. Wright. I need to get going as well.
Is it somewhere far from here? I can have my driver drop you off on the way.
No, please. There's no need for that, Mrs. Wright. It's just within the city.
I see. What about you, Zach? We did leave your push bike at the mansion. Don't worry, I'll have someone bring it to your home later.
Nah, I live within the city too. A few blocks from here, in fact. I only visited earlier because...
The photos. Damn, I completely forgot about them. My hand grazes the side of my pocket where I kept them since this morning. Sure enough, they're still there, waiting for the whole world to see them.
Because, Zach, sweetie, you're zoning out.
Miss Hannah, earlier, at the mansion.
I have to show her!
I think it would be better if you take a look at these yourself.
No! I pissed her off! I hurt our relationship! No! Seeing is believing, right? I reached in my pocket and pulled the photos out, handing her everything to her. Recognition flickers across her eyes when she reaches for them, and I have to stamp down the tiny twinge of regret in my stomach for having the gall to show it to her. It only cuts deeper the instant both her and Miss McCullough's expression changes. It's not a good look. To say she's repulsed would be a total understatement. At the time, Hana has been nothing but direct, saying what she feels, expressing what she wants. Away from the glamour and the camera lenses, she's a whole different person. But she goes through each of the pictures, I can't get a easy on. But as she goes through each of the pictures, I can't get an easy read on her.
Zach.
Your photos, the ones you requested copies of. I mean, they came out that way, and I thought you should know.
Oh, I get it. You know, I've heard before that artists can be a bit weird. Have you ever gotten that kind of comment, Marianne?
Not in my line of work, I'm afraid. Or ever, Mrs. Wright.
Oh.
I'd rather keep my personal hobbies away from my actual work. Less stress that way.
Well, I suppose it just never crossed my mind that the saying applies to you as well, Zach. But talent's what's important, As long as you make good art, it doesn't matter.
Oh, no, you see, when we had that photo shoot yesterday, there was something.
I wouldn't say I don't appreciate it. I did ask for copies, darling, but would it be possible for you to give me normal-looking ones? Preferably with my head intact. I admire the effort you took to edit this, though. It looks authentic. Frankly, if I show this to some other person, they'd probably believe those silly rumors about the mention.
God, I did the right thing! Our relationship is still good. Our relationship is still good. But...
Good publicity, but not the kind I'd want for my new home. So please.
She drops them back in my hands like their very surface burns her.
If you could redo this, that would be wonderful. I'm positive you can do a better job than the one you just showed. Just try to keep the edits to a minimum,
Yeah, I can, sure.
You can take your time, of course. And speaking of time, I really must go.
She leaves without so much as a wave. I don't have to take a guess to know I've dismayed her, or in her own words, weirded her out. Beside me, Miss McCullough shakes her head. What are the odds I've also ruined my chances with the job she offered earlier? Very high, I'd say. It's a foolish idea in the first place. Miss McCullough departs shortly after Miss Wright has taken her leave, muttering something about getting a quick lunch before fetching Berthel from Chris. Oh, like the cat. Right. Oh, at Luxbourne City, Zachary and Hannah meet with Marianne McCullough. While Marianne was busy, Hannah disclosed her pregnancy and frustrations to Zach. At the end of their talk, Zachary showed them the photos, which earned the disapproval of both women. But I tried to do good! I did! I tried! Damn it! I don't know what or who a Berthel is, but it must be important for her to be in this kind of hurry. And well, she doesn't seem to be fond of small talks, something we can both agree on. Lunch sounds good, or a walk around the city maybe, but with the sun as high as it is now, nah. And after how things with Miss Hana went, I simply can't muster the appetite for anything at the moment. If I don't do anything with it now, I have this impression it will rear its ugly head again. And by then, things might be too late to fix. What other choice do I have? Ash? Rebecca? In all likelihood, all they'll give me is a pat on the back and say, Z-Man, go get some sleep. You're at it again from Ash. I'd like to talk to Isabella, but I haven't seen her around since she showed up at my apartment 2 days ago. Weird. There is one person, though.
Damn, I should have thought of that first.
Oh, I'm going to the church. As it turns out, I do have another choice. I'm not a religious person. Won't identify myself as such. Or rather, I can't. Sure, my grandparents didn't have to force me to go weekly. I'd happily join them. In fact, most of my childhood Sundays have been spent attending service. It's simply that as you get older, the more experiences you get, forming your own beliefs on things becomes easier, for lack of a better word. And at one point, it just stopped. That kind of thing. Nevertheless, I hold no disdain for it. Sometimes it does help. When things are really, really bad, when the dreams won't stay where they should be. Talking does, a bit. It's also a good thing Father Norman's, well, he's not completely the pious man you'd typically expect. My unlikely friendship only probably happened because he's the kind of guy who's cool with the young ones, as he so aptly puts. And he is, surprisingly. It makes him easy to approach. Maybe he has something to say about the photos as well. It won't hurt since I've already gone ahead and went to Anselm. At daybreak. On my bike. At the very least, I know I won't get shouted at by whoever answers the door.
Unless someone does that inside a church. I highly doubt it.
Despite its age, the Luxborn Church is a thing of wonder in itself, with its high vaulted ceilings and intricate stained glass windows. This is the church from, the title screen. I thought that this was like a chapel that was going to be like inside the mansion, because mansions have chapels sometimes. One of the many gifts the Erengard family donated to the community in its early days. Or so I heard from Rebecca. She mentioned this once, although most of it flew over my head then. At this time of day, the church is mostly empty, save for a few visitors and ushers shuffling about, some muttering their prayers under their breath. The scene of burning candles and incense permeate the air, giving the place a general feeling of reverence. Pretty welcoming, all in all. Even so, I keep the noise my treads make to a minimum. Disturbing the quiet feels like a sin alone. An usher points me to a pew in front of the altar when asked where Father Norman prays. He mentions something about the good priest not being in a good mood? Oh, in good health. Ever since he was asked by a couple to bless their new home before moving in. This is the first time in days he's left his room. No surprise there, with the weird happenings lately. Even Rebecca caught something. Nervous little chap, the kid. Nevertheless, he leads me close to the foot of the dais, with a reminder not to stay too long before walking off. Seconds later, Father shifts and stands. He doesn't seem to have noticed me, and I have to give him a little tap on the shoulder. When he looks, though, to say he's surprised is an understatement.
Stay away.
Whoa! Oh no! Yeah, why are you there? Why are you there? Why is she making the O face? Why is that a thing? His voice comes out a whisper, almost inaudible in the hush, quiet restraint and difference to where we both are standing. But the tremor is there. He focuses on me with wide, bulging eyes. Copious amounts of sweat appearing on his forehead, despite the relative coolness of the place.
Father Norman?
Keep your distance.
Hey, it's me, Zach, remember?
Stay away. Don't come near me.
Must be the fever talking, or whatever he caught. It has to be. I don't ever recall doing anything to him to drive him away from me like this. In all the years I've known him, he's been nothing but polite, nothing but accepting of people, regardless of beliefs or status in life. For words akin to a threat to come out of him is simply beyond unimaginable.
Go back to where you came from. Leave.
Father, what did I do?
Leave now.
I extend a hand to his shoulder, meant to be reassuring, but he recoils, his ankle catching on the end of the dais as he backs away. He shouts when I attempt to reach out again. His shout when I attempt to reach out again echoes throughout the entire hall, catching the attention of the few people inside. I try to keep a level tone, but these strangers' eyes trained on us, panic starts to weave its way into me.
Stay away, demon. Go back to the hell you came from.
Father, it's okay. I only came here for some pictures I thought looked odd. I figured you might know something.
From my pocket, I fish out the photos and try to hand them to him. Instead, he strikes my wrist away, almost like an accusation, and sends the photographs fluttering uselessly to the floor. Helpless, I can only watch as he curts into himself on the ground, a sad, blubbering mess whimpering to himself. He tips his head forward and begins to rock, and begins rocking, his hands clapped over his ears.
That accursed spirit, so full of anger and pain. All those horrible things I've seen. I can't sleep. I can't eat. Everywhere I look. Go away. Go away. Go away. You're not supposed to be here. This is a house of God. Be gone, demon! Lord have mercy, God, our Lord, King of ages, all powerful and almighty. You who made everything and transform everything simply by your will.
A number of people have moved closer, mostly just to gawk. Jesus! Disappointed he wasn't able to accomplish his mission with Hannah, Zachary went to his friend, Father Norman, for advice. However, in an unexpected turn of events, the priest vehemently pushed Zach away, yelling curses and calling him a demon. Thankfully, as if to save him from being an utter spectacle, 2 ushers come out, taking him away. One of them, the kid from earlier, shoots me an apologetic look. I can't even return it to him. Anxiety is a powerful thing, a firm little notion that clings, eats, and consumes you. I can still hear his prayers even when they drag him away.
May he keep at bay and vanquish every evil power, every poison or malice invoked against us by corrupt and envious people. Then under the protection of your authority may we sing in gratitude.
It rings, hums in me as I am left to pick up the pieces of this chaos. Back to square one we go. If there is salvation in this, I hope we find it soon. Jesus! I wasn't expecting that, because here's the thing. What it seems is like Zach is, like, barely noticing the spirit. Like, he is definitely noticing it from time to time, but he's not really, like, present with it, you know? It's like, it's there, but it's not really... It's not going after him yet. At least that's what it seems like. It seems like it's going around for people around him. The moon is well into the night sky by the time I make it back home. My heavy treads and the sound of traffic outside echoing in my ears, filling the empty room with some semblance of life. Nana would scold me if she ever hears me walk like that, but after today, I really can't give a damn about everything. The mattress creaks under my weight as I unceremoniously flop down on it, I find myself looking at the paper under my grip. Aww. As promised, Miss Wright had my bike delivered back to my apartment. Raise your glasses. Give cheers to the good times. You are cordially invited to the Wright's housewarming party, October 28th, 2016, Friday. Oh, this game is a couple years old. Huh, I forgot, like 3 years old. Damn. 3 o'clock in the afternoon onwards. Ermengarde Mansion, and the rest is under there. I found it parked in the rack downstairs with an invitation and a note tucked into it, in fact. Be there, it said. If only it were that easy. But it'll give me a chance to talk to her. About that thing in their house. With a sigh, I let my hand fall to the side of my bed, along with the invitation. I'll think about it tomorrow, when my head ain't muddled with thoughts of headless women and haunting smiles of a ghost. Belatedly, it occurs to me I haven't eaten anything since I left this morning. And an empty, gnawing ache makes itself known, but I can't bring myself to stand up. Today was a complete waste of time, and frankly, a disappointment. I don't like this. The lack of certainty, the disquiet, the lack of stable ground to stand on, the part where I do not know what will come tomorrow. Ever since that damn letter, everything has been thrown out of the loop. Wish everything stayed the same. Routine would have been easier to make sense of all this. Closing my eyes, I let the noise from the street below lull me to sleep. At the very least, that's one thing that hasn't changed. Oh, now it's the day after the party. It said it was the 29th, so there was the party. And now... Oh, now the 29th. Oh. The melody carries into the hall long before I cross the threshold. Solemn but gentle and soothing, a reminder of what home is. Pa's firm but meaningful gaze, Ma's wistful smiles, warm rays filtering through the eaves at sunset, the distinct smell of wet earth and leaves after a long day's rain in our room. The room, Ma and Pa's pride and joy, a place we were once promised several springs ago. Yet it won't stop.
No, wait! Come back! I'll be good this time! Please don't leave! Please stay!
The floorboards are cold under my feet, more than it usually is. The walls more foreboding than what I'm used to. Farther and further the room goes. Ma's singing ceases, and Pa... I can't hear Pa. Not above the raucous clanging and the deafening roars of gunshots, nor the screams replacing the comforting soft melodies. There is only blinding fear. When the light breaks, her skin has already taken a sickly pale color, rotting in most places, blood dripping from every open gash, and Leah's in her... Oh no! Bony hands on Hannah's neck like a noose, straining the skin underneath with a vibrant shade of scarlet. Nothing but malice fills the gleam in her eyes. A scream ripples through the air. My whole body feels distant. Every limb heavy with lead, unable to move at will. Not even so I can wipe the sweat forming on my temple. Rising my breath easily fills the room in the wee hours, while I force it back into a steady rhythm. There is a tightness in my chest I can't shake off, my heart pounding against it as if it's about to burst. Something cold has settled on my legs. Not the usual chill that comes and goes with the passing breeze through the window, but one strong enough to sting, shackle, and leave a frigid sensation creeping up my skin. Oh God, no! With every struggle I make, the pressure winds firmly around my legs, tighter and tighter and tighter, until it all becomes too much. Oh no! Save! My heart stops! Another draft sweeps into the room and brings with it the iron tang of blood. Thick, suffocating! Filling my nose with a foul, sickening smell as I shift my gaze downwards, and slowly, it slowly comes into view. Mouth stretched in a wide, hideous smile. Oh, I got a quick time of it, I know I do! And eyes brimming with nothing but madness. The stench of gore taints the air around me, and I can't look away from it. Her! From the terror of death that her uncanny, twisted features alone scream. Try to open my mouth to shout, to ask for help, but my voice has left my body altogether. All I have left is the painful realization that no kind of plea will save me from her. Then, suddenly the bed dips. Oh! 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 Oh my God, I thought Zach was dead. Oh no! Oh my God! It's not the fact that I was like scared of what I saw on the screen. I just didn't want Zach to die. A brutal plunge back into myself jerks me awake. There is no ear-splitting scream, no wild thrashing of limbs. Just a painful, restricting awareness that something has wound itself tightly around my neck. I waste no second pulling it. I waste no second pulling it, a blanket, away, but allow myself a few minutes to steady my breath before getting off the bed. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Well, I feel better. Also, I am not Zach, so yeah, I'm fine. One step, 2 steps, 3. But the dreams have gotten worse. Ever since 2 days ago. No longer are they small, cursory flashes that I'm used to, but vivid ones that linger. I can still feel the blood in my hands, putrid smell of rotting flesh, the sickening crunch of bones breaking with every movement, and her cold, chilling eyes as they bore into me. I draw in one long, ragged breath, and before I know it, I'm walking out the door. Even in the waking world, it reeks. Oh, they changed it a little bit. A bench on the park is far from the most private place for thoughts in Luxborn, considering its location at the heart of the bustling city. But in the early hours of the morning, it provides enough space and quiet for any poor, problematic soul who happens to wander here. It doesn't seem like early morning. There's like a shit ton of people here. Early morning would mean like there's few people here. City is just waking up, a little later than usual. But knowing what day it is, one can't fault it for being a little tardy just this once. Yet, neither the pleasant morning chill nor the soft twittering of birds does anything to banish the images. Every single one has rooted itself in my head, its claws digging deep in what is no longer a safe place to hide in.
London Bridge is falling down.
What?
Falling
No!
Down, falling
What the
down.
fuck?
London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady.
Stop that!
Take a key and lock him.
No!
Lock him.
That's
up.
bad.
Lock him.
Stop
up.
it.
Take a key and lock him.
You
up,
bitch!
my fair lady.
I don't like this song.
London Bridge.
Oh, it's gonna
is
repeat.
falling down,
It used to be
falling
easy,
down,
finding some
falling down.
pretense of
London
peace under the
Bridge is
guise of sheer
falling
optimism,
down,
following
my
regular
fair
routine.
lady.
Stop singing, girl.
Take a
Now?
key and lock him up.
Now I don't know
Lock
what to
him
make
up.
of it.
Lock him up.
Sometimes
Take
it's
a
easier to
key and
run,
lock him
easier to
up,
hide when
my
everything's
fair
falling apart.
lady.
That way you don't have to be the first to witness
London Bridge
it when
is
it does.
falling down,
It
falling
worked when
down,
things went
falling
bad with the
down.
movie, after all.
London Bridge is
It also worked when Ma and Pa were
falling
taken
down,
from us.
my fair lady.
Though the sentiment...
Take a key and
Shut
lock
up!
him
I am trying to read, small
Lock
child!
him up. Take a
Though the
key
sentiment's a
and
little
lock him
hypocritical
up,
when you think
my
about my little
fair
talk with
lady.
Miss Wright the other day.
London
But that's just
Bridge
how it is.
falling down,
Maybe it
falling
really is
down,
better if I just...
falling- Hey, mister.
Ah, creepy little girl. She looks like Marionette. Not Marionette. Marinette from Miraculous Ladybug. Seriously, she looks exactly like Marinette. The tiny voice gives me a pause. When I look up, a little girl, maybe around 6 or 7, is peering at me. Two wide eyes overflowing with what can only be the natural curiosity one typically sees in children. I vaguely note that the Saint Goretti uniform she's wearing before returning her greeting.
Hey, kid.
Kylie.
Kylie?
That's Kylie? That's Hannah's goddaughter. Oh my, it's all connected, man. Oh, now we have a little child to protect from the curse too. Damn it. Where are the fucking Ghostbusters when you need them? I will even take the reboot version at this point. Just someone kill that fucking ghost.
That's my name. Mama said it's rude not to call people by their names.
Mama's right. She then flops down on the empty space beside me. Her little legs, still too short to touch the ground, swing in tune with a song she hums under her breath. I don't mind kids. Nana would often invite the ones in our neighborhood to give them treats. Of course, by then Sis and I were too old to play with them, but you get used to the commotion eventually. It's not completely as unpleasant as most people would imply, as Kylie seems to be a well-behaved kid anyway.
Oh, sorry. Nice to meet you, Kylie. Is Mama here?
No, but my big brother's with me.
Luke!
He's taking pictures with his camera over there.
He points to the far end of the park, the one closest to the street where a kid is taking shots of something above him. It doesn't look to be birds because all there is on that side of the park are buildings.
I don't see what's so interesting with the tip of a building, though. I'd take pictures of dogs if I were him. They're cuter.
You're not wrong.
Do you have a camera too, mister?
Yeah, I'm actually a photographer.
Mama said I'm too young to get a camera.
You are, sweetie. You're adorable, but you are not ready. You are not ready to handle a camera, mainly because I don't have a good reason, but no.
I'm sure your mama will eventually give you one.
Yes.
But won't you be late for school like this?
Big Brother will get us there on time. Rowan promised Papa we aren't going to be late. It's sports day. So it's not good if you keep looking like that today. If it ends up raining and we lose, it's your fault.
All right, I'll try not to upset the clouds today, kid.
Is it because you're sick, mister?
No, it's because of bad things. Before I know it, a smile has spread over my face. They say kids ask the toughest questions sometimes, and they sure do, with how sincere Kylie looks. Lying feels like doing her a huge disservice.
No, not sick. Just having a very, very bad day.
I had a ghost lady try to kill me last night. I don't know why she didn't. She clearly had the advantage.
Why is that?
He must have rolled like a nat 20 to survive that event.
Is that like when my big brother ate all of my pudding? He did that once and then cried. It wasn't very nice of him.
Yeah, he sounds like a very bad older brother. Very, very bad. God, my brothers did that to me. They would eat the things that I wanted to eat. Oh, siblings.
Yeah, I think so. You see, there's this mean girl. She's giving my friends and I a lot of trouble.
Oh, you're talking about the ghost.
Hard to keep up when things are like that, you know? Especially when you can't do anything. It's kind of scary. Makes you wish things will just stay as peaceful as they used to be.
Maybe she just wants to be friends with you?
No! Thank you for your enthusiasm, but no, sweetie, no.
I highly doubt that.
Yeah.
She already hurt one of my friends.
She did? She did? Who did she hurt?
What if she's just sad? Or maybe she just wants help.
Yeah, maybe.
That's what happened with Melody. I let her borrow my crayon when she left hers. Now we're playmates.
It's not really the same thing, Kylie.
Unless your friend is also a ghost, in which case it is the same thing, but still no.
What she did, they're pretty bad things.
I still think there's another reason.
Okay. Little girl is like, there's more to the ghost than meets the eye. We already know that. Like, remember like the Chief Inspector Lee and how he kept like shouting about how he had to help that woman? There's gotta be more to this, but I just don't know what it is.
Did you try talking to her? That's what Mama said I should do.
This is not a person I can talk to, little girl!
I don't think that'll work either.
You haven't even tried yet. You sound like Rowan. You're just scared, mister.
You're right, I am scared. If she was in the room with us, you'd be scared too. That strikes a chord. Maybe it's the honesty in her tone, or simply the truth in words itself. I don't know why, but I can't help it. I laugh. Loud enough to disturb an elderly couple taking a leisurely walk nearby that are nowhere near on screen.
Why are you laughing?
That's nothing. You're a really smart kid, you know that?
That's what I've been doing, ain't it? Go full speed ahead, then backtrack when the going gets tough. Stay in a safe zone because that's what I know. Once, Dr. Navarro said I should be the first one willing to deal with my problems before anyone else. I didn't show up at our next appointment after that. But he's right. Though I hate to admit it, knowing what I've seen, the kid makes a good point too. I've been so caught up thinking there might not be a way out. Maybe there isn't, or maybe there is, but that doesn't mean I should just leave it up to fate.
You better get to school, though, or you'll miss sports day. You should have won yourself some awards, alright?
Alright. Can I show it to you when I do? That can cheer people up, right?
Yes, it can, sweetheart. In the distance, her brother calls for her, and I took that as a sign to leave. Got things to do, to face. First few steps, they say.
Nah, I'm good now, I think. Thanks to you. Besides, Mister needs to go, but you should show it to Mama and Papa. I'm sure they'll be proud of you, Kylie.
Yeah, they will. Yes, they will.
I will. Thanks, mister. Bye.
I give her a little pat on the head before heading my way. A small gesture of thanks from a stranger she doesn't know she might have helped. She might not understand her now, even though at such a young age, she already has this understanding of things. But maybe when she's older. When the world no longer seems too big for her.
But aren't you going to help me, mister?
Oh no!
With what?
Confused, I glance back. Whatever cheer our little talk brought has vanished under the shadow suddenly dancing in her eyes. This frigid air is most definitely not how the morning chill should feel like. Bitter, stinging, unwelcoming. And the kid...
What do you think, mister? Are you going to help me?
Leave us alone! What did we do to you?
That is not where you jumped to, man! Ask her questions! She's possessed the little girl! Creepy little girl, god damn it! The response never comes, however. But when I blinked, gone.
Hello? Mister? Are you okay?
For several passing seconds, I let my stare linger on her face, waiting for any sign of another change. But all that remains... but all that remains in there is this carefree smile of a child. None of the spite, none of the cold... None of that cold, bloody smile.
Nothing, huh? I really need to go, Kylie. It was nice meeting you.
See you again, mister!
I break into a run. Where am I going? Oh, this is the morning. Zachary's nightmare became worse with each passing day. To help clear his mind of unwanted images, Zach took a visit to the park. There he met Kylie Schwarz, a precocious girl studying at St. Giorgetti. Is it Giuretti? I don't look back, not even as I bump into a couple of passerbys as soon as I'm out on the busy streets. Going insane. This is what this is. And if we don't do something soon, we all will be. Tremors follow me even as I get home. I had hoped a little stroll around the block for a few hours would help. Instead, I am assaulted with more images of her smile, the loathing in her eyes, the stench of gore, the horrid crunch that comes with every movement she makes. Even memories have been sullied by her. Ma Song no longer sounds as sweet as he used to be. In the end, all I got is a sinking feeling that I would never be rid of her image. Another ridiculous idea that may or may not even work. The sun is already setting, hanging low on the horizon when I make it back. And for the first time, coming home feels more like a chore. Only I didn't arrive to an empty room. Because as soon as I open the door, I'm greeted by none other than...
Sup, Z-Man?
I told you we should have called him before going here.
It's fine.
Oh, friends! Isabella, you ain't crazy, girl! We gon' chat! However, I'm sorry, but this is where we're gonna have to cut it because we are definitely over time for this episode. So, thank you everybody so much for watching. I appreciate you being here with me. Oh, next time we're gonna continue on with Zach. I think we're about to finish up Zach's storyline here. And we're gonna... Oh god, we are gonna try and make sure that everyone survives. Because here's the thing. I have fucked up the tiniest bit. Hana isn't too happy with Isabella. No, I'm sorry, that's right, I'm sorry. Zachary screwed up a little bit with Hana, with the photo thing, but she's not below, like, this marker. So that seems important. I don't know if I need to be above the marker with a bunch of people to make this happen. But... And it does seem as though these stay. Like, for example, Hana's relationship with Isabella is the same. Her relationship with Zach, is the same. Isabella and Zach are the same. Okay, yeah, so it is transferring with each character, and that's good. It's not just locking them in place, it's a solid progression. So, that means that there is a potential chance to save everybody, and we are gonna do that, no matter how difficult it is, no matter how long it takes, no matter how much I freak the fuck out. I'm gonna save everybody. It may not be in this playthrough, I may have to do a second playthrough for it, and you know, if I do a second playthrough, I don't know if I'll do, like, the whole playthrough. I may just show the ending to show, like, what the difference in the ending is. but this is definitely a game that the different choices you make do change the outcome. So, thank you everybody so much for watching. I appreciate you being here with me. Next time, we are going to take care of this all wrapped up all nicely, and we're going to see what we can do about taking care of, creepy, bone lady. I don't know what to call her. The creepy ghost lady. Ugh, God. But either way, thanks again, and until next time, have yourselves a beautiful day, my beautiful, beautiful viewers!